Okay, so we're back here again with Zoe and Patrick, head TAs for the course. And what we want to talk a bit about today are the next competition that's going on, which is involving the returning the moon to orbit, as well as rule clarifications that have come up for the class over the last several weeks. Before we do that, I wanted to review the performance for the class in terms of the past competitions. You see here some of the metrics for the performance in these the first team competition. The average score is listed here, the max score, as well as the teams that did the best in this particular competition. So you can benchmark your teams and see how you're doing relative to the class in terms of the performance on the track. So what we're going to do today, Patrick will talk a little bit about rule clarifications, but before we get to Patrick, we're going to hand it off to Zoe. Zoe will talk a little bit about what's going to go on with this competition and the extra tasks that you're going to have to do for this particular competition.
All right, so for next week, for competition number 3, you'll be asked to complete tasks 1 through 4. Each team will be given 1 moon, which they will be able to have in their machine upon start. They will need to place this moon to return it to orbit onto the top of the dome. Each zone on the dome is worth different amounts of points. The center dome location is worth 50 points. The zone 2 is worth 33 points. Zone 3 is worth 15 points, and zone 4 is worth 5 points. If your moon has been placed on a boundary between zones, the moon will always be counted in the lowest scoring zone. If your moon is tilted on the edge, between zones, it will be counted wherever the magnet is in terms of what zone it is located. So for example, even though this moon is overlapping into zone number 3, it will be counted as zone 2 because the magnetic base is fully within zone 2. For this next week's competition, the anti-shrink ray will not be in play.
So keep in mind that you're going to have to do all the previous tasks that you did with the other 3 competitions that we have going on, and then you're going to have to add the moon task to this as well. Another thing that we want to point out is that as you will have these competition objects like the anti-shrink ray, the shrink ray, and the moon before you start your competition run. When we get to the final competition where you're in the GTMI auditorium or the atrium and actually competing, you want to make sure that you return these items before you leave the track and your rounding course. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get further along in the competition, but making sure that you don't take any competition items away from the track as you move away from it is going to be important. So especially off to Patrick, he'll talk a little about rule clarifications for this competition.
Absolutely. So the moon competition this week, you will be competing individually, meaning that it'll be just your team competing. No other teams on the track will be competing against you. So you don't have to worry about interference of your moon or anything like that. And in fact, egress is not part of this competition. If you know, the manual says it's tasks 1 through 4, and egress is task 5. So that won't be in play until the qualifying competition 2 weeks from this competition week. So when it comes to rule clarifications for that qualifying competition and beyond, I wanted to talk about interference of moons because there is no explicit restriction on removing or displacing moons, other people's moons, or even your own from the centerpiece after it's placed. So just know the rules. Whenever it comes to that, I recommend you check out the FAQ page for the diagram. But basically, the quadrants intersect in the center of the dome here, and the zone 2, the 4.5-inch diameter circle that these quadrants intersect with, that is an unregulated zone, meaning you can be occupying that entire zone with your robot, but you cannot occupy any other quadrant with your robot. So you can stay within your quadrant all the way up into that unregulated zone, occupy the whole zone if you want, but no more than 5 seconds. And then you will want to egress in the qualifying competitions and beyond. When it comes to egress, actually, there's some rule clarifications that we made this week when it comes to the egress from centerpiece. So if you're touching with rolling contact in the stratosphere at the end of the match, you will not get egress. You will not get the egress 2 times multiplier from egressing from the centerpiece. but you may touch the beacons at the end of the match, as beacons are not considered part of the centerpiece volume. So that's all I want to say about that.
So those are some good rule clarifications for you to consider with this upcoming competition. Other thing I wanted to add was, as you're building your subsystems and testing your devices on these tracks, whether it be in the Open Studio or during your studio sessions, make sure to record those performances using your cell phones. Keep track of the points that you're scoring, the critical metrics for your systems, the ones that you've brainstormed in your engineering, in your spec sheets and your engineering requirements, because those are the ones that are going to be important in terms of reporting for the interim report that's coming up, as well as for the final report as we get further along. Beyond that, looking at how you present your designs to the judges that we have in the design review, which occurs prior to the final competition on that same night. If you have those videos, it helps to show how your design has progressed through these various weeks to those judges, so they understand how your design evolved from the initial conceptual design that your team had presented to your instructors last week, and how it's evolved to where it is today, or for the final competition. So with that, we're going to wrap up this video. We want to say good luck to you as you put together your systems for next week, and we look forward to seeing how these designs evolve even further from where they are today. So good luck, and we'll see you next week. All right, see you.